everyone, this is Ron from the Living Wild family. Today is July 3rd and we're boondocking at almost 9,000 feet of elevation in the San Juan National Forest. And we're about 6 weeks away from the start of the Wyoming pronghorn hunting season. We don't have tags yet, but both Debbie and I applied, and we're hoping we get tags to hunt pronghorn, or as some people call them, antelope, in Wyoming. This will be Debbie's first big game hunt and her first hunt for anything with a traditional bow. So like I said, we're about 6 weeks out, and I've got some new stuff in the mail, and I'm setting up her bow today right here at this table in the San Juan National Forest in Colorado. So first and foremost, what we have is a new set of limbs. So these are DAS limbs from Three Rivers Archery. They're bamboo core. These are ILF limbs, and I'll talk more about ILF in a minute. They're medium length, so they're going to make a 60-inch bow, and they're 35 pounds at 28 inches. Brand new, just got them in the mail a couple of days ago. And today what I want to do is to mount them on this riser. This is a riser made by my company, Life Cycle Gear. It's a 17-inch riser, and it is an ILF riser. And for those who don't know, ILF stands for International Limb Fitting. And what that means is that any limb, no matter who makes it, should fit any riser, no matter who makes it, just like so. So slide right together. Just a little dovetail fitting in there, and then a tiller bolt right here. So it's a great setup, especially for new archers. It's great for kids because you can adjust bow weight simply by keeping the same riser and buying a new set of limbs as a kid grows stronger and stronger. And it's a great setup for, for my wife, Debbie, who's just getting started doing this. She's going to start with a 35-pound set of limbs and hopefully work up a little bit, although I think 35 pounds with the right arrow combination will be just fine for Wyoming pronghorn. So, first thing we're going to do is adjust these tiller bolts. And the tiller bolts allow you to adjust the draw weight just a little bit on an ILF setup, typically around 5%, maybe up to 10%, but they advertise lots of things, but in my experience, 5% is about as much as you get. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this Allen wrench right here, Allen wrench, and I'm going to screw this tiller bolt all the way in until it just bottoms out real lightly, not hard, just like that. So it's just snug. And for Debbie, I'm going to back it out 2 turns. So 1, 2, just like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other end. You can see it right there, the tiller bolt and the dovetail fitting. I'm just going to screw this in until it bottoms out. Just like that. And then I'm going to back it out 2 turns. 1 and 2. Then I'm going to go ahead and mount the limbs. Well, this is the top limb. And again, this little dovetail, or not dovetail, this little fitting right here slides into this dovetail and underneath of that tiller bolt. Just like that. Good snug fit. Same with our bottom limb. Just like that. So now this is ready to go. Now some people don't like this, but on an ILF system, you get a little bit of wiggle here until the bow is braced, and it's the tension of that brace that holds these limbs tight in the limb pockets and the dovetails. All right, so we have the limbs mounted. Now we need to get a string set up. I also have a brand new string here from Three Rivers Archery, and basically all I need to do here is to set the brace height and install a knock indicator. So I'm going to slide the bigger loop, endless loop strings, Flemish twist strings, typically have 2 different size loops. I don't know if you can see that. A big loop goes on the top limb, and the small loop goes on the bottom limb. And there's a reason for that, and I'll show you. So big loop is going on the top limb. The bottom loop right here, the small one, is just going to go over the knock. Just going to hold it tight right there. And I like to pull it a little bit to sort of set it in place. And then we're going to use a recurve stringer to string this bow. So with this stringer, we'll slide the little pocket over the lower limb, and we'll slide this rubber doohickey, that's an official term, doohickey, over here. Now here's why the bigger loop goes on the top limb, because this needs to slide. As we put pressure on these limbs, we're going to make the bow shorter, and that's going to allow us to slide the string forward into the nock. So on the ground, pull. Now we're going to slide this up and on, just like that. Now, first thing I do once I've strung a bow is just to make sure everything is lined up, make sure the string is seated in these nock grooves. If not, that can be dangerous. All right, now you can hear that's twangy. We're going to get some string silencers on there. Next thing we're going to do, though, before we do that, is to check our tiller. I'm going to go for even tiller here, because that's just how these bows shoot best. And you don't need to know all the details, but we're good. We don't have to adjust the tiller at all. The tiller is even. If it wasn't even, we could adjust these limb bolts a little bit to make one limb bend more than the other to get the same distance from the limb to the string. But we don't need to do that here. Let's just go ahead and install a brass nock indicator. And I've got a bag of brass nock indicators here. A set of nock pliers right there. Lots of people get really fussy about nock height when they're first setting up a bow. I do not. I'm going to take this arrow and we're just going to eyeball our nock height. We're going to get it close. I've been doing this long enough that I know basically where it should be just by looking at it. So I'm just going to look at this out like that. You always want the nock of the arrow to sit a little higher than the shelf. So we're right about there. And we're going to take our nock and our nock pliers. Take the nock and we're just going to lay it on the string here for now. There we go. So I didn't squeeze that super tight, so I want to check it again and make sure that nothing moved. So we've got our brass nock indicator. You can see it right there. And you can see that the arrow is sloping a little bit up to the indicator. And there's ways to measure this. I can show you how to do that with a bow square, but for right now that's good enough. It looks good. We're just going to tighten this up. And we're good to go for now. Later we're going to shoot this bow when we start to be able to tune it, and then we'll adjust our nock height exactly. I only wanted the nock indicator on there for now because it helps me decide where my string silencers are going to go. Now, everybody has a different way of doing this, but what I like to do to install string silencers is to just basically go from this nock indicator and measure the distance from where the string touches the limb to here. In our case, we've got a little more than 25 inches, and I go exactly in the middle of that. So half of 25 is 12.5. So we're going to go 12.5 inches from where the string touches. The way I do that is to mark it with just a little twist tie. So I'm going to go right here. Actually, we were a little more than 25, so I'm going to go 12 3/4. I'm just going to put that on. And then on this end, we've got about 22 inches. So I'm going to go 11 inches from here. Boom. Right there. Now, for some of you guys who really like the technical stuff and are into all of the details, you're probably looking at me and you're thinking, oh, that guy's crazy. He's not really, it's not even, it's not, you know, he's just slapping that on there. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. I've been doing this for a long time, and this is the way I get the most dampening out of the silencers. It's just a great way to set it up. It's easy to do, it's quick, There are other ways to do it, I know, but this works just fine. We got our little twist tie on there. Now, take this bow down. We're just going to unbrace it. And we're going to get our string silencers out. And now, we're going to place them right where those twist ties. These are alpaca wool string silencers from Three Rivers Archery. I do a ton of business with Three Rivers. I really like them. Great service, great products. If you're looking for archery stuff, it's a great resource. Some kinds of silencers come with a little string or a piece of yarn that marks the center of the silencer. That's where it's bound around the middle to sort of form it into like a figure eight. What I typically do is to pull that off, and you're left with the place where the crease was, where the wrappings still are that hold this whole thing together, and then I turn it like this, and I mount it onto the string 180 degrees from where that wrap is. That seems to allow the silencer to last a bit longer and work a bit better. So once I get that oriented the way I want it into a nice snug little figure eight in an hourglass shape, I'll sit it here and it'll sort of hold its shape. Now I'll take the spot that's marking where I have that twist tie, and I'm just going to slide the twist tie out of the way. Now I'm going to use my fingers to unwrap the string a little bit, just to loosen it up. And I'm going to find the center of the strands, just like that. And once I have the center, see it right there, I've opened up the strings. My silencer is still holding its shape. I'm going to slide it in, just like so, and then pull. I'm going to pull the string from each end to snug it up a little bit. And I'm just going to leave that one right there like that. And I'm going to repeat the process on the other end. Now, we're going to go ahead and string the bow. The tension from the bowstring pulling tight will hold those silencers in place. You can see the silencers there, they're going to puff out a little bit more. We're going to take our twist ties off. Oh, much better. So those are puffing out real nice. Beautiful. And there you have it. That should do a great job in silencing this little 35-pound bow. On to our last task before we can shoot Debbie's bow with this new setup. I've got a dozen arrows. I've fletched just a few of them, and I'm going to cut them to length. These are gold tip traditional 500 spine. We're going to weight them with about, let's see, about 180 grains up front, and we're going to cut them to about 30 inches. And I think that should work pretty well for her draw length. When you travel, you don't have the luxuries of like you might have in a shop in your home. Whenever I'm working on anything, I never have a bench to work on or anything. So a friend of ours gave us this little portable vise a while back. It's just got a big weight on the bottom, big base. It's a small vise, and it turns out that it is perfect for holding arrows to cut them off. Now I probably should just get one of those little small electric cutoff saws for arrows, but I've just got this little vise and a hacksaw. Oh, there we go on our bow. There we go. What I've got now here, these are 50 grain stainless steel inserts that will go right into this arrow, just like that. Bingo. Only, of course, they need some glue to hold them in there. Lots of different glues on the market to do this. Good old super glue, to me, works the best. There is a difference in super glue. What I've got right here is just cheap Scotch super glue, but if you can, buy good quality super glue. Gorilla Glue makes good stuff. One of the things that you have to be sensitive about is whether or not there are any oils on the portion of this insert that goes inside the arrow, because that will prevent a good adhesion in there. So what I do is I screw a field point in there so I can hold on to the field point and not the insert, and then I usually just take a towel and spin that in there a couple times, try to get all the oils off of there from my fingers, so that's good and clean. And I'm going to take some glue, I'm going to lightly coat the portion of the insert again that goes inside the arrow. You can see this stuff coming out. Get it in these grooves real good so it holds. Got that on there. This is pretty crude, but it'll work. And then we take these two and put them together. Now, the only trick here, you got to work fast, because carbon and super glue create a fast, super strong bond. If you slide this in there and willy-nilly around about it and just go real slow, it'll get stuck halfway in or 3/4 of the way in, and you will not be able to get the insert in the rest of the way. You've got to have the courage of your convictions. When you start, boom, put it together. So here we go, we've got it lined up. And boom, got it just about in, but it did exactly what I didn't want it to do. See that? I was noodling around telling you what not to do, and I think because I was holding that up and that glue was already starting to set, it really adhered quickly, and so I didn't get the insert in the whole way, and this is already set. You cannot get that out. You can't get it in and you can't get it out, but there is a trick. Hang tight. So here's our trick for loosening this point just a little bit so that we can reseat it. A little bit of light heat, not too much. Too much and you'll ruin the carbon of this arrow. You'll ruin the first 1/4 inch or so. Will just start to degrade from the heat, and then you won't have a safe or useful arrow anymore. Now what we're going to do is just heat this up a little bit, and then I'm going to use the pliers to push it into place. And I don't want it, like I said, I don't want it to get it too hot, so we're just going to test it with the pliers, and we're only going to heat the field point that's in there, not the insert itself. The heat's going to come back into the carbon part of the shaft, loosen that glue a little bit, and allow us to seat it. Not yet. Well, that wasn't too smart. Try a different approach. Got a rock over here. That did it. Went over there and pushed straight down on a rock, which is what I should have done in the first place. We're good now. Got our arrow insert all seated. That glue, don't worry about the glue. It got hot, but it'll reseat. In fact, it's probably already, it is. There's no way that's coming out of there right now. I think we're just about ready here. Take one more look at knock height. It's looking pretty good. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put another brass knock indicator on here. Sometimes the throat of these knock inserts on the arrows is pretty big compared to the diameter of the string. So watch what happens. See how this, hard to see, but you can see how this slides. Let's see the best way to show you this. See how that slides on there? So potentially when you release the string, especially if you shoot 3 under, this arrow will whoop, slide down. And functionally you'll be shooting from a different knock height every time. It causes porpoising, it can cause you to miss high or low. So we're going to put another brass knock indicator under here so that this knock cannot slide down prior to the arrow leaving the shelf. Okay, we're finished setting up Debbie's bow. We've got it right here, laying on our little makeshift bench right there. And it's time to give it a try. Earlier I said that there's not a lot of room for hunting or archery equipment when you travel full-time in a camper. That means that there's also not a lot of room for things like targets. So we have this little 3D rabbit that we use a lot of times, and I'm just gonna come out here. There's a spot right up here where there's a stump, and I'm just gonna nestle Mr. Bunny right there, and we're gonna take a few shots and see what happens. Can't tell, I love this stuff. It's a blast. All right, not a long shot, just maybe 10 yards or so. First shot out of this thing. We just want to see what kind of arrow flight we get. See if we've got our noise tamed down with those silencers. Oh, man! That flew great and hit exactly where I was looking. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Now we got to get Debbie out here to shoot it. Come take a look. Wow, really pleased with that. Bingo, right on the money. I mean, oh, I'm super happy. All right, so we finished getting Debbie's bow all set up, and she's come out to take a few shots. So let's see how she does. Do that again. I don't think the folks saw that. Oh. Let's hope that brings you luck. Ooh, I did not hear foam.
Low. Now I'm high. I'm looking right at the bunny.
All right, let's go see, folks. She's shooting at a jackalope. So one was low, but good left-right, and I don't even see the other one.
It went in there.
Oh, gosh. Get in there and get it.
Call the kids. I don't even see it.
Stay tuned. We'll be back next week with another episode of How to Lose Your Arrow.
Hush. Hush now.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
This one was unlucky for me last time.
Her first two shots missed the target, but only by a little. And she's never shot this bow before, so we're giving her a little slack.
I'm gonna shoot the black circle.
Bingo. What do you have to say for yourself?
I'm just that good.
She's speechless. That has never happened in the history of the world. Well, she hit it that time. Let's give her one more shot and see how it goes. So that was a miss, but she's experimenting between shooting split finger and 3 under. And the first thing that will happen when you make that switch back and forth is you shoot high versus low. So your left-right will stay the same, but when you shoot 3 under, your shot's going to go high. When you shoot split, your shot's going to go low until you get your eye adjusted and your aiming all figured out. So she's doing pretty well. I think once we zero in on either split finger or 3 under, she'll do just fine.
So this is my first day shooting this. I still have a lot of practice to do, but I have 6 weeks to do it, so stay tuned.
What about click and subscribe?
And click subscribe, baby.
Thanks for hanging out with me to set up Debbie's pronghorn bow. It's been fun. We'll keep you posted as this journey goes along. If you enjoy our videos at Living Wild, please click subscribe and tell everyone about what we do. Thank you and have a great day. And Debbie always says I get awkward at the end of these things, and I did it again. Nobody says thank you and have a great day on YouTube videos. So I'll just say so long and stay in the woods.